Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I was also on the panel earlier today, and I'm going to expand on some of those points that I made. So I want to make this practical and just talk about my journey and the company's journey with XR, and specifically get into some AR applications and also our work that we did with Squint. Where's the presentation? There we go. Where's the clicker, by the way? Oh. So first, myself, I didn't use the professional headshot, sorry. But there is a theme here. So one is biking, which I'm going to bring up later because it's the first thing I tried with AR. And then I'm a sommelier just for fun. So this combined two of my favorite hobbies. So it's probably one of my favorite photos. So I'm Senior Director of External Innovation at Colgate. I'm a little broadly spaced out from supply chain, IoT technologies and XR and digital twins, 3D printing, et cetera, but I also support R&D on new formulas and packaging, and increasingly sustainability, because that's pervasive across the whole company, and I lead an accelerator, multi-company accelerator on sustainability. If anyone wants to talk about sustainability, come see me. So Colgate is a $18 billion company. We have about 35,000 employees around the world. We sell in basically every country in the world. We have factories, 50-odd factories around the globe. Those who don't know, Colgate is 217 years old, so which is great. It's a stable company, but also can be challenging to do some of these new technologies in a company that's that old. We're quite a focused company. Everybody knows Colgate toothpaste and oral care products, but our pet food division, Hills, is very large and growing exponentially. And then we have personal care and home care. So that's kind of our universe. Everything we do fits into these four categories. But you probably know us from these brands, Ajax and Colgate, and some of these brands you don't know are more high-end skincare and things like that. Tom's of Maine is Colgate, and other brands like that. So how do we start? So I'm involved, like I said earlier, kind of spread out. I support manufacturing, but I also support manufacturing and marketing and other groups, right? So initially, the AR was thought about as a consumer engagement tool. So a couple projects that I worked on is one is the brush on the left is an augmented reality toothbrush. It uses digital markers. If you see those little, I don't know if there's can't do that. If those little markers interact with the screen, and that determines the orientation of the brush and how it's moving. And then as you brush correctly, you get funny hats and glasses and all this stuff. Kids love it. They actually brush their teeth, or at least make the movements like they're brushing their teeth, because it's really cool and it's really interactive. The other one, I touched on that earlier on the panel on the right side, is, and this was an idea that I had, I'm kind of proud of, how can we use XR or AR specifically for consumers to understand how our products work? In this case, a whitening product, because we say get X shades in X number of days after X number of uses, but what does that mean? What will I look like? So this is interactive, live video. It looks tooth by tooth and then uses an algorithm to change that appearance, and it's very realistic. And it shows definite sales lift when people go through this experience. So that was on that side. But what about in the supply chain? And some of this was driven by me and some regrets, but maybe a lot of you gone through the same journey. You know, let's go all in, HoloLens. Let's do mixed reality. Let's actually do our work with mixed reality. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. And we created a number of experiences, taking a pump apart and putting it back together, doing things like control point monitoring, or how do you clean a tank for changeover, and do that with through mixed reality or an iPad experience. So we weren't ready for it, and I don't know if we still are quite ready for that on a broad scale. Creating the content was tough. We don't have 3D files of our assets, so we have to do something there to do that. Wearing the headsets, so that they are improving, still a challenge, cost as well. And then safety, and those people are, we don't want anything imposing your view, right, on the shop floor and the manufacturing floor. So that was kind of difficult. So we kind of, started moving away from there and started at kind of a lower ground level. Let's use very basic AR type things to enhance the way we communicate with each other. And of course, this got a great lift during COVID. So things like RealWear glasses, 360, the one on the left is a 360 camera, Avatura, I don't know if they're here, that we can do 360 experiences. Multiple people can be on the same call, manipulate the camera, create AR. I call this AR Light, where you can circle stuff and draw on the screen and all that kind of stuff, but it is powerful. And then, troubleshooting equipment with an OEM or communicating with another factory that might give support. So that did quite well. During COVID, I must say, it's hard to keep it going, especially the headwear. It's not something natural that people just put on. They'll put it in a desk, they forget how to use it, the battery dies, et cetera, et cetera. So it still is in use, but I'm not saying it's catching on like, like wildfire. So what was kind of the new direction? Where should we go? And what we want to do is enhance the operator experience. We started doing a lot of digital workflows, which are, quite sterile and static. We wanted to see, can we overlay AR on top of that and also give them orientation? Where am I? How do I get to the next thing? Spatial navigation. And this is my personal opinion. In fact, this whole presentation is my personal opinion. Hopefully Colgate is okay. I'm saying everything I'm saying. But the phone is something everybody has. They know how to use it. No one loses their phone. You don't teach someone how to use their phone. Phones and then tablets are devices that are easy to use and the entry point, in my opinion. The headwear and other things have specific use cases, and don't force fit the hardware into the use case. And we didn't want to do any special drawing, scanning, put QR codes on all equipment, all this kind of stuff. So that was kind of the wish list. And then, from that, I was introduced to Squint at a similar conference, and they said, wow, that's kind of what we do. So that kind of started the journey with who's Squint, who I know has a booth here, and be happy to talk to you guys. So, okay, I showed the bike thing in the beginning because I'm a bike fanatic, and wine, but I don't do it at the same time. Well, I have, but that's another story. But said, okay, I'm going to do something in my basement. I got a 15-minute orientation when I was in San Francisco, and when Devin was starting out, I think, at Squint, and he had an office of 2 people in a WeWork, and he gave me a 5-minute orientation and said, okay, I'm sticking it on your phone. Good luck. And that's it. I didn't go back and say, how do I use this thing? I just went home and did that. And if you could play this video, just to give you an idea. So this is my basement, which is a rather large basement. You see these visual tags that are placed on the bicycle saying, what is this? Where's the derailleur? This is an electronic bike, by the way. And it goes through a whole experience of doing maintenance. And I'm not showing the whole clips that I made, but if you see here, it's orienting you where to find the battery, where to put it back on the bike. If you need more help, there's additional videos that can be clicked on. And then, all right, this is a bit silly for the bike, but did you actually do it? Say yes or no, et cetera. But you start to imagine how intuitive this is. And I could give this to my wife, which I did, but actually didn't want her to touch the bike, but she was able to go through that. No, I would have let her touch the bike. But it's super easy to do, right? And you can see it's 35 feet away, and it's pretty accurate. It's guiding you to the location. And this was all done, the scanning, running, and use, all done on a low-end iPhone, not the fancy latest iPhone 12. So that's gives you an idea, and you can see how intuitive it is, and it's taking you from scene to scene to do the work. I think, can I go to the? So from that, it was like, that's interesting, and I talked to earlier people say, how do you get stuff implemented? Just talking about it on paper doesn't help. Having that bike thing, and I could show it to people at work, in a meeting. Wow, that's super cool. You did that? Like, because they know I'm not Mr. IT, even though I'm innovation, but I'm not Mr. IT guy. So yeah, super easy. And I just use my phone. So how could we start to go on top of the digital workflow work that we were doing and start to use this for SOPs and job training? We wanted to have it app-based, to be on a work phone or work tablet. Again, scanning, creation, everything on the phone. And we wanted to start initially with more focused on tagging and being able to orient people. This happens to be our pilot plant, but orient people to machinery for new hires, but for tours and all that kind of stuff. And we started collaborating with Squint and asking for certain features and doing all that, and we're able to make these very powerful experiences. And then I see it's running right away, that's fine. So that's fine, it works in the basement. What about a dense area where there's lots of piping, tanks, and all of that? Yes, it works. There are some tricks to scanning and not scanning to area and things like that. But if you look closely, it recognizes the scene automatically. It just starts. It can guide the user to the next step. Here, someone's taking a picture to say, yes, I checked that, and I can answer a question, whatever that is. So you can have that history of who did the procedure, how long did it take, how long did each step take. It keeps all of these images and questions in a file that can be used for data analysis or validation and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is, now we have a tool. Look, if it's something digital, a URL, a link, it can be absorbed into this. So for example, another project that was done with a startup, and this is called SpeechMe, it's on the lower right. We created we have a library of Colgate, let's call it a Colgate YouTube channel, of supply chain and other procedures. And it's very powerful because it's very easy to annotate and embed things into that speech platform. So we're able to take the links, already available content, and pull them into, say, a Squint experience and go back and forth. So that was really powerful. What did I do with the clicker? And I'm going to go forward. So how do you go about do this? And maybe a lot of you have already been in the Squint booth, so I'm re-emphasizing. But again, it's pretty easy. You're pointing your phone and filling in these boxes to create that that scan, and they change color. And after a minute or two, then you have that whole scan, and it guides you through the process. Again, nothing fancy there. And then you just start pinning things with your phone to create the visual tags to indicate where the procedure should be, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you have that, you just have a trigger point. It recognizes the scene, starts the procedure, and away you go. And these procedures can be performed in English, but they can auto-translate into other languages and stuff. So that's cool, but what kind of things do we do with it? So just like that speech platform, we can start making a library of training materials and procedures. This was all in our pilot plant. It doesn't have to be fixed assets. It could be a forklift as well. The scanning is a little bit different there because you're scanning. If you had a mobile piece of equipment and you scanned it with the background in the area, now you move it, that's got some challenges. But the forklift, it's just contained to that individual forklift. And we could do an orientation experience, say, on a forklift or something like that. And that could be a training or validation procedure, things like that. So now we have a library of these procedures for at least for our pilot facility. And what we did, and I'll give a shout out to an intern that we had this summer. In the pilot plant, they have to go through water system and take measurements and validation every day on our water systems and things like that. So generally, they have a map of that, and they go through it and do things at different steps and record things in a checklist. We converted that to experience using Squint. And first of all, we tried that with people that had no experience, never did it before, and even people that had done it before. And what was interesting was whether they had zero experience, first of all, they could do it pretty much the first time without any help or support. But even people that had some background could go through that. And the steps that you do changes every day, which things have to be checked. So it's not like, if you do it enough, you could probably memorize it, but it changes over time, and what things you have to check, what frequency and all of that. So it was clear that, people got it quickly, and people could use it and orient themselves and do those steps, those digital steps to do that. So the next step is, and I should have prefaced this in the beginning, it's still all work in progress. How do we do this at the factory level? How do you do this at the factory level? So we're starting a project now that's in progress in Colgate, Mexico. It's our largest Colgate facility in the world. And we're developing specific use cases and doing that in a smaller section of the plant to see how does it work with those operators and in that environment. And the initial things are looking at safety, for example, lockout, tagout procedures, how to do it, but also importantly, the validation that they did it correctly. Line operation, including line changeover, one bottle size to another, one formula to another. There's a lot of steps there. And then line troubleshooting. There's a jam on the machine, or something's going wrong, right? So how do I correct that? Let's have a procedure for that. So that's work that's undergoing as we speak. And hopefully next year I can share results if I find it back. So the benefits, at least so far, is it's clear that training can be done very quickly and be done by yourself. It's not, most things at Colgate are kind of apprenticeship, if you will. You stick you out on the operating line, you learn from people that have done it for years, and kind of away you go. But this can be self-taught, if you will. And the job completion times are much faster, particularly if you've never done it before. The accuracy, doing the job correctly. And now, importantly, you have the analytics, right? So you know which operator did it, how long they did it, the steps, if there was verification, data, video, pictures, whatever. That's all self-contained in a platform that can be accessed. And mostly, maybe a lot of your companies experience this, but it's hard to keep employees, especially the hourly workers. They'll jump to another plant down the street for another 50 cents an hour, whatever that is. And we need access to the people, and we need people at a lower potential skill level. One is cost, the other is just getting them, right? So with a tool like this, they can get onboarded much quickly and do work kind of, without having that experience. And not unimportantly, and I think this came up before in other panels, it's appealing, right, for the next generation. How do you entice younger people to come to a 200-year-old company and be excited about their work, and they have access to the latest tools, and I'm using AR at work, and it's really great, and da-da-da. So, and I think that's really important. We don't think about that. But the next step is really, we're in the journey. Will the shop floor, fully accept this, and can we scale it globally? I mean, that's the mission. But it's still, I'd say the verdict is out there. I think my opinion is yes, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna get better and better as form factors and things for hardware improve. So what do we want to see, and what are we trying to maybe coerce or guide Squint, if you will, to help on? And I know other customers are also in the same boat. creating the procedure, it's not that hard. You just do step by step and type in some words and add other videos. But can you take a video of a scene or an operation and then it creates its own? And yes, Squint has been working on that and already has something in development there. Can we embed AI features on it? I think it was in the Exxon one where they were looking for corrosion and missing bolts and all of that. Similar here, can we look at a scene and say there's an issue and then find the correct procedure and then run that, right? So, how do you access it without always going back to a library, right? And as I said, we need to interlink. We can't be logging into all these multiple platforms. We need to have a master platform and then link into those support videos and other things. And that's got to be pretty seamless. And then finally, evolution into more conversational, right? We don't have to search for what we need. Just say, I need help on X, or I need to do X, and I get the procedure that I need, or the training, or whatever comes up. So I know it's all work, progress, and I think we're going to get there. So, my prediction is that AR, it's going to be ubiquitous. It's coming. Your safety glasses will be your window into that AR world to guide you throughout the day and do your work. And I believe in that. I can't tell you how many years, but I think that's going to be our future. So that's me. That's my email if you want to contact me, and if you want to talk about AR, VR, sustainability, or wine or cycling, or all the above, feel free to reach out. Thanks, appreciate it. I guess we have time for questions. There's one over here. Do we need mics, or I don't know?
Hey, thanks. Great presentation. Antonio Rocha from Vection Technologies. So we're working with a very large customer right now, and I'm curious about any ideas that you and the team are actually trying to run or are running to secure adoption, like that shop floor acceptance, because that's one of the things that we're really running into. The ROI is there, the data's great, it works, but the folks are just not using it, or they're just pushing back, or we're trying to come up with our own ideas, but I'm curious to see what you and the team
Yeah, look, it's hard. You don't want to just, force people into something. I think, again, gravitating more to the phone or the tablet, people don't want to wear headsets for extended period of time. They don't want to share. We have to get over to having the sensitivity on phones, one for just situational awareness for safety and all of that they're not staring at their phone, but also being able to capture sensitive data and things like that. So that's something we gotta get over. And a lot of people, they don't want to use their own personal phones and stuff too. So that's the other thing. I think we gotta give them that. We gotta give them that. And you got to make it easy for them. I haven't seen anything much easier in this. Just point at the scene and it launches the procedure, right? But it's going to be a challenge in the factory. I think it's going to have some things. I think will mandate for like safety, a lockout tag it or something like. No, you're going to do every procedure like that. Let's start at that. But yeah, I don't know if there's no magic bullet. Look, they got to find the value and they got to make it easy for them to use it. Otherwise, yeah, it'll sit on a shelf and it's not going to be used. Thanks. That's it.